Hi, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Lex Kane's TV reviews. Today is another spoiler review on Doctor Who, the episode The Well. The opening scene is just after the Doctor and Belinda have just left 1952. They're still in the 1952 gear, and they're trying to get to May 2025. The date, the 24th of May. They're trying to get to some kind of get through that time hole back to their timeline, and the Doctor gets frustrated and just gets angry, and then Belinda starts talking. What about my parents? I want to know if they're still alive or not. And the Doctor says to her, "Don't worry, you'll dance with you'll be able to be with your parents again. Maybe I'll dance with them." I thought, why is he being more humanized in this episode? We just want to get to the story of this episode, and I was get straight into the story. Suddenly the TARDIS lands, and I think it's roughly about 50,000 years in the future, and they land on a spaceship, and they got to do this dressing music for putting new clothes on. And it's getting a bit old hat, this idea now. Like they're making it into a song contest type scene all the time. It's just with Doctor Who back then, you just got right straight into the story. Didn't matter what the Doctor was wearing. If he was wearing a slightly different hoodie with a different colour, but you knew it was still him with bits of the costume that he wears. To know that it's him, and now he's got to wear he looked like a cross between Fantastic Four meets Star Trek type costume. It's getting a bit boring, that idea now, and so then the TARDIS, they get out, and then he carries the portal device that he's made this device to try and find what's happened to Earth. And then they come outside, and they realise they're in, the Doctor's trying to introduce himself, and then he gets, he does this creepy smile, and the smiles look a bit too cheesy to me now. And the Doctor tries to introduce himself, who he is, and then the head officer, space officer of this military group, looks very much like 1986 Aliens here. There's some rip-offs of movies and other things going on here. It's not a new idea, this. Her name is, I think it's Shiva. She reminded me a bit like Captain Janeway, the way she acted in Star Trek Voyager. I thought in this episode to myself, this guest star was the main character, and later on there's another guest star in this episode who is these two are really, they're the main characters of this episode. But it's disappointment again with the Doctor and Belinda. They're not the main characters in this. It's very disappointing. The writing's very dry in this episode, and I'll tell you why, my opinions on that in a minute. So the Doctor gets puzzled that she says, put a helmet on, and they realise they're going to jump out of the spaceship and skydive down to where they're going to go, and then it goes straight into the title sequence. I'm not a fan of this thing now where you're getting 3 minutes to 5 minutes to explain things, and then you got a mid-title sequence. In original Doctor Who, you'd have the title sequence first, and the episode the title, and you would go straight into the episode. You get to build up the characters, and back then, which I think those days are going to come back if they do a hard reboot of Doctor Who, they will go back to the serial format where it should be in parts. Because I think this episode, to myself, there was too much crammed in. And it was originally going to be a new idea, but then when you'll know in the review here, because this is a spoiler review, spoiler review by the way, it's something else from Doctor Who past in New Who, and this is, it's got to go back to the serial format because you get to know the characters a bit more, the elements, their egos, who can you trust and who not to trust. They again, in the serial format, they begin to respect the Doctor slowly and then get to know him and know he's on their side, rather than rush things in. And he's got to, when they land on the planet, this planet they land on, Belinda's panicking, and also an automatic jets come out to land them down from the inside the boots. These jets come out to land them slowly onto the planet's surface, and then Belinda's like taken back. She now not realizes she's in outer space, and she's like amazed. But it very felt much like rip-offs over sci-fi products like Aliens and a bit of Avatar, Star Trek, bit of Stargate in there. And, there was no new original idea in this episode. Nothing like, wow, they've never done this before. This is a big achievement. But they filmed in a famous quarry, probably in Wales, probably somewhere. It looked like this same quarry from Impossible Planet. So the Doctor hears all of a sudden guns charging up, like laser rifles charging up to say, and then Shiva, the commanding officer, says, I think it's Shiva, the name. She says, "Who are you? You're not part of our team. Who are you?" He gets out the psychic paper. I am not a fan of the psychic paper. It's trying to move the story quickly along, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all. They should stop that. With Doctor Who, in Classic Who, they never use the psychic paper. Capaldi didn't use it much, which was great. Capaldi was, to me, Capaldi was really good as the Doctor. Fantastic Doctor. In some ways, this was not Gatwa Who. This was more like a Capaldi type episode. If they got the writing, if they'd written the script right, this could have been a Capaldi episode. If they'd written it for a classic Who Doctor, maybe Tom Baker and the late John Pertwee, it looked like they could do this episode far better if the writing was better. And none of this honey and babe stuff that should go at the door. The Doctor does not say that. The Doctor is an alien. He's not a human. He doesn't have human emotions. He is not from this world. That is the character of Doctor Who. He's our eyes when we watch the episode. We're watching through the Doctor's eyes what's going on, and we're like the companions. Well, looking for the companions' eyes, who the Doctor is. The Doctor was mysterious. We're not getting that anymore with Doctor Who. He's just all over the place. They rebooted this character. We need to reboot it back to what it was. That's my opinion. So going back to the spoilers, they move on, introduce themselves. He uses a psychic paper saying he's like some kind of trainee inspector about this. And so he asked them what happened to Earth, and he said, "Oh, is this a test? Is this a test? And is it a test for us to do this and that?" They just move on forward. So then they press on, and one of the science members of the team scans the area and says there's still radiation in the area. And when you see the landscape and the sets, very much like the 1986 Aliens film, where you see all the bases and all that, and the surroundings is very quiet and airy in that scene. And you get to it, and she says, I think I'm picking up one heartbeat. And he said, well, she gets blunt. Then Shiva says, well, we don't know if that's false reading because of the radiation and all that. And the doctor says, well, it's hoping it that someone could be there. So they press on and they go to this big door, and only a maximum of 6 people can go in the front area. So the other part of the team has to go and find another way in. So they go into the base, and they find out something's not right on the base. It's too quiet, and they come to the guest quarters of the base crew that are mining. It's a mining facility, and they find someone. All his bones are broken completely, and he's dead. And then they find someone else who's been shot with a laser gun in the back. Someone else, and they notice there's a pattern emerging. All the mirrors in their rooms are broken, and they find another person with all the similar injuries. And they're thinking, what's going on? And they find out there's one reading, and the doctor opens this door, and we get introduced to the character Alison, or Alice, or whatever her name is. And we find out this character is deaf and needs lip reading, and she's the chef of this. And she's the chef. All she wants to do is go home. She's petrified. So there's something in here in this building, and I had to kill my best friend in self-defense. I didn't want to do it, and you can see she's petrified, really petrified. She wants to get home because she's got a daughter back on Earth, and her daughter is getting looked after by her grandfather, which may be her father or the father's parents. We don't know, but she's very got high anxiety. She wants to get out of there. She's afraid, and she wants to get out. Really, that's basically the story. She wants to get home, and that the other team are looking around if there's any more survivors. The other part of the team, rescue team, and then we notice that the girl, the chef, has injured her hand, and Shiva and the security officer that's with her says to the doctor, "Are you staying here, or do you want to come to the command center?" He runs for the chance to go and see this command center. So the doctor says to Belinda, "You stay with her and treat her." And Belinda talks to one of the crew members, saying about, "Do you know Earth?" Because they all look human. And she says, "What's Earth?" "No, what are humans?" And you're looking at them and thinking they're humans, and that. Then all of a sudden Belinda sees something, like quick glimpse, something moves, and she jumps out of her skin. Says, "Did you see that?" And she said, No, what did you see?" He said, "Oh, don't worry about it. I must be being anxious being here." And she's seeing something because you've seen it too, like a quick glimpse of something. And so, cut the story short, the doctor goes with Shiva and the crew and the security guard, and they said all the video logs are being erased. So the doctor's got to get the sonic screwdriver out again. You can't, make an invention there and then, or fix it with his own hands to fix the job with the video logs. So he used the sonic and said, "Oh yeah, just go to the last log." And the base crew, or the mining crew there, are petrified because they've seen something, and they're all scared. And he said, isolate the right hand side of the screen, and I'm going to isolate the right hand side of the noise, on the audio, so we can pick up the noise. and you hear something, they're all getting afraid about something, and they're getting petrified what it could be, and they're getting scared, and then it goes off, and then Doctor says to Shiva, what was this called, this planet, before? And she gives up this name like this, and says, no, what was it called 50,000 years ago? And she says, the planet Midnight, and he just drops his face, and then it goes to flashback mode charges, and I thought, this doesn't feel like a sequel to Midnight. Midnight was a one-off hit. You can't do it again. And there's plot holes in this. There's loads of plot holes in this, and even when I watched it, I thought the creature that we see in quick glimpses of is not the same creature we saw at Midnight, because Midnight was an invisible force. It only, like, people in the naked eye could see dead quick, and you wouldn't be able to see it. Midnight was one of those episodes, the original one, where it was just filmed on a train set. It was a low budget episode because they didn't have much budget to do, because they were keeping it for the last 3 episodes what was going to happen in season 4 of Reboot Who. So that was more scary because they were on a train, they couldn't get off this mining train that they were on, and basically that was the storyline. They couldn't get off, and then there was this unknown force, and then, to cut the story short, the air hostess gives up her life and takes the woman who's being controlled by the unknown alien force and destines herself out into planet Midnight, and that's the last time we see her. And you're thinking, well, if it took it so long to come back, why wait 50,000 years, or whenever, how long it was? Why wait so long? Like, you would have escaped on Midnight in the first episode. I think there's a lot of plot holes in this. It's not working, this. So we go back to the rest of the rescue team that were from the spaceship, and they report everyone's dead apart from the chef. And they look at the chef thinking, are you the one? They're thinking, is this the threat? And she's full of anxiety. She says, it's behind me. If you come behind me, you'll be dead. And that's why she's so paranoid and scared. And then Belinda sees it again, and the fella says, what did you see? What did you see? What happens later on, when the doctor realizes on Midnight, he runs back to Belinda, and Shiva and the Shikoza guard run back, and they think she's the threat to the Allison, or Alice, the chef, and she's not. It's something. Then she explains, if you kill me, shoot me, that whatever the creature is, will come on to you, and it'll be then, you'll see it, but I won't see it, type thing. And basically the security guard is saying, well, I'm going to go around the back, and they've said, no, don't do it. And then there's most of the security team get killed off straight away, and then the doctor's thinking, what do we do? And then he thinks of a plan, but then he's intrigued what he wants to see this creature, and he goes, oh, there you are, I can see you. I haven't seen you for a very long time. And basically what he's saying is, I look different then. And then hence the doctor's got to cry, feel emotional for this alien, even though he has to try and defeat it. So he asks, he has a plan where he said, what do you see, Doctor? And he says, you see the creature? He says, well, I could see the exit out of here. And I figured that's a plot hole, because, but then the alien would know your plan, what you're going to do. So he said, basically, he said to Shiva is, if you shoot the left and right ear of the pipeline, the mercury will come down and he'll see its reflection, and that's the time to run. So they run, and hence Alice, or Allison, is free from the threat, and she's able to run. And the thing is, then there's a real problem. The creature then is following, and the Doctor says, I want to see what it looks like, I want to see it closer. And I'm thinking, there's a problem there. Wouldn't it be better locking the door so the alien can't get out and you all escape? That was a big plot hole there, because the alien could easily just walk in to the escape route where they're going to get off the base on this planet. And basically that is one of the plot holes in the episode. There's loads, but I'll only tell you what I remember. So what happens then is Alice, or Allison, gets off with the crew back to the spaceship, and she says to the Doctor, thank you. But then all of a sudden something goes wrong. The alien's in the room. Alice and some of the space crew go back to the spaceship, and basically it's now on a Belinda, and you go, uh-oh, Belinda's going to get it here. And then Shiva says, is my bone structure the same as a human's? And the Doctor says, yes, you're the same species. So she says, I have to shoot you. This will be painful. So, but we can bring you back. So the only way they can save Belinda is make it look like false reason that she's dead. So she had to shoot her dead quick. So she shoots her, and all of a sudden we hear the creatures on Shiva. So Shiva runs and runs and runs, and the Doctor runs after her. And then we go to the bit where, hence the title of the well, there's this big well in this command center area. So she jumps to her death with the supposing alien with her, and the Doctor shouts no, and he feels all emotional, and it felt too human, that scene. It would have been better if the Doctor just looked down, feeling shocked, but not show too much human emotion. So they use the life support machine. Belinda's back. She's back on the TARDIS. Meanwhile, the science officer is now in charge of the crew, because they've lost the head of the security, their commanding officer, and some of the other security officers are gone. And she's talking to somebody and says, did the Doctor have this device? It looked like this. And lo and behold, guess who it is? Mrs. Flood again. I've got this wild fear that came to my head. Has Mrs. Flood got a TARDIS? Because somehow she's everywhere in time and space where the Doctor is. And she knows a lot of the Doctor's knowledge of what he's built, and a lot of knowledge about who he is. And then one of the crew members says to her, there's something, I saw something there behind you. And then you hear the noise. So basically the creature wasn't killed. We don't know how many there was. All we know is there was one in the episode, and you hear the noise at the end. And basically it was a rehashed telling of little bits of Waters of Mars, bit of Blink, Impossible Planet, and Midnight, all mixed into one, beating this episode. And to me, it was very disappointing. And as you know now, some of you know now, the ratings for the overnight was 1.9 million. That is very poor. That is very poor. When Doctor Who in the 1970s was getting big worldwide, John Pertwee and Tom Baker's here as the Doctors in Doctor Who, every Saturday night they would get between 12 to 13 million watching. If Doctor Who was rebooted in the 90s and early 2000s, like 2000, not 2005, but the 1990s and 2000, and it got 1.9 million then, well then Doctor Who would be axed. So this thing about it's a minor hit and all this, that's just a fair tale, because 1.9 million is not the size of the United Kingdom, Scotland, Ireland, Wales. That is very poor ratings for a show. But my overall score for this episode is 2 out of 10, just for the performances of the guest stars. The guest stars were good in this episode. The Doctor, we don't know where the Doctor is. I think we've lost the Doctor since 2018. We've lost the Doctor. We've had no proper Doctor Who since 2018. 2018 is when we lost who the Doctor is, and we lost the Doctor again. We don't know where he is. So it's 2 out of 10 just for the guest performances from the character who plays the chef, Alison or Alice, and the commanding officer, Shiva. She just reminded me of Captain Janeway from Starship Voyager. Very military pronounced the way she spoke, and very, straight on it. You could see her in a sci-fi action movie. This person's really good actress. I can't pronounce her name because it's a very big name. She's an Irish actress. She would be fantastic in her own sci-fi series or something like that. If she got like a deal with someone to make her own show. Basically, the guest stars again are the main stars of this episode. I can't get used to the new companion. It's all too rushed, this show. So I think there's going to be a little bit of hope, but it's still going to be not too good. But Millie Gibson was a really good companion, but to me she had the wrong Doctor. If she had Capaldi or someone else, or someone who could be the Doctor, she'd be still on the show, I reckon. So they're my thoughts. I've gone a bit too long there today. Subscribe to the channel. Take care. See you soon.